Hi, hello everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jem. It's a pleasure to be here in Yangon again. It's my second time. I came on summer. I don't know, some of you I remember we spent maybe half day speaking about espresso and working with the testing. And now I'm going to talk about building quality apps with Firebase Test Lab and Android Studio. Still, I don't know. I'm not learning Burma. My only words are related with the food, so mohinga is the only thing that I have to know. That's it, and Myanmar beer, but so sorry. Okay. Still connectivity. So, well, about me, I think that before it explained very well. I'm Inaki Villar. I'm from a little island in the Mediterranean Sea. It's called Mallorca. But since 7 months ago, I'm living in Bangkok. I'm working in Agoda, and we are looking for people. So if you are Android developer, iOS developer, or API, and you want to join us, so it's only 1 hour and a quarter from here flight, so talk with me. I'm as well as Google Developer Expert, and this is my Twitter and Google Plus account. I have to say that I reopened my Facebook account because after visiting in other countries here, everybody told me that here, if you don't have Facebook, you are not connected. So now I'm in Facebook, sadly for me. Okay. Again, so it's pretty cool because today we have seen first to talk about the product, about what's the next, how if you are creating a startup, for example, how you want to see the value of the market. You have to understand what's the needs of the user. Then we have seen a very cool talk about the design, about the importance. And now my part is about testing, right? So because we can have the best design, we can have the best idea, we can be the next Uber, but if the user start the payment process and the app crashes, you don't have the payment and the user puts a 1 star with reason, right? So that's why it's important testing. And imagine that, well, we are working in a startup now and I'm a developer, as normal person. I would have a Nexus 5, I'm Android developer, Nexus 5 and a Samsung S6. That's it. But you know that the real situation with the market in Android is hard, right? So we don't have only one device or 2 different devices. And it's possible that in my Nexus 5 and my Samsung S6 everything works well, but in a Huawei, it's crashing the app, it's crashing the payment, and getting 1 star. So that's why it's a little bit hard in Android, right? Because unless that you are rich, you can afford to have all the devices in the world. And I think that every year there's like 200-300 new devices. So I don't know. Another problem as well in the Android is the API. So we have different versions. You know that we have Marshmallow, KitKat, Lollipop, and these 2 devices that I said before, my Nexus 5 has a Lollipop and my Samsung S6 has a KitKat. But the problem in the Huawei is with the Marshmallow. So again, I'm not catching the problem. So that's the thing. Even I can test my application in Android Studio with my emulator, for example, or with my real device. We need more devices, or we need infrastructure to help us in testing the apps. And that's where came Firebase. I think that here we did a conference about Firebase. So you know what is Firebase? So it's a platform that helps you to develop high quality apps. It's not only about testing, because can help you with the develop. We have different parts like the database, Originally, Firebase was the database. We have the push notifications, cloud messaging. Now it's under Firebase, and different parts like the storage, hosting as well. Related with the grow, the state of your application, you have the notifications, app linkings. It's very cool because Google is trying to focus to converge all the solutions in different products in the Firebase brand, and even, of course, analytics, right? Everybody is using Google Analytics, so now it's under Firebase brand. And of course, talking about money, as well the ad move, so the previous ad move, now as well Firebase is integrated. But if we are talking about testing in this case, so one of the parts integrated inside Firebase is Firebase Test Lab. What are the key features on Test Lab, Firebase Test Lab? First of all is testing on real devices. Again, if you are a developer, maybe you are testing with your emulator, with Genymotion, whatever, but the real device always is going to give you more feedback about the potential problem that you can have. Another key feature is running the apps, because of course, so we can write the test, but we need to run the apps. So Firebase Test Lab is offering you different platforms to execute the test, okay? And then the workflow integration. So what means that you can execute your test from Android Studio, from Firebase Console user interface, or from your CI server. Okay, your Jenkins, for example, you can run the test from here. And how it works? Actually, in Agoda, we have a mixed solution, and we have some tests in the office and some tests in Test Lab. Why in the office? Because, well, we have some market in China as well, and we want to test some specific cases in China, and we have some integration with final servers, and we want to keep at home. But I have to tell you that it's very, very, very hard to have a test lab in the office. Why? Because imagine that we have maybe 20 devices in a stand. It's very cool. You are all plugged, but suddenly you receive a Samsung notification about a new version of Android. This notification is breaking your test, for example. Imagine that somebody unplugged the cable. That's happened sometimes, and your test is failing. So having the test in the Google Data Center, you're sure that you don't have these problems. So all the devices, so all the tests are running, and people from Google are keeping care about that. And it's a good point, because you have only to be focused in write the test, not in keep or taking care about if somebody has disconnected the cable from the device. Okay, once we know that where are these devices, so they are in the Google Data Center, of course, so we have to talk about the scalability. We don't have to take care about the things because Google is behind. So we can run the test from gCloud. It's one of the new common interface that we are going to see later. The Firebase Console, it's a user interface from web, and Android Studio. So from these three parts, we can run our test. What's the final part? How we can write this test. We have Espresso. It's not a secret. I'm a big fan of Espresso, UI Automator, or we can write the test with Robotium. There are testing frameworks. Robotium in this case is not provided by Google. One of the new things with the Firebase Test Lab is this part of the Robotest. Robotest is like a framework that executes the test, but you don't have to write the test, because with Espresso or UI Automator, you have to type the code. And well, there are people that they don't like to write, or you want to do another kind of test. So with this Robotest, you can execute by Firebase Console or gCloud the testing. Later we are going to see more details about Robotest. But that's the basic structure, okay? Google Data Center, we can run by gCloud, Firebase Console, Android Studio, and the tests are provided by Espresso, UI Automator, or Robotium, in this case. Okay, we have a big picture about that. What's the implementation path to work now with Firebase Test Lab? Well, first of all, write the test, because if not, we don't know how to avoid or how to detect that the payment process for the Huawei is failing. Then choose a test environment. In this case, that means that I want to choose test on Huawei. And finally, run the test, of course, and review the results. Okay, let's go through point by point. First point is writing the test again. So I remember the last time here, we spent maybe 4 hours talking about Espresso with some of you. So Espresso is the UI testing framework provided by Google. Is all this part, the Espresso UI Automator and the Android JUnit Runner are the Android testing support library. If there are developers of Android here, you know that we have the support package library, the design library, the testing library is as well provided by Google. So that means that if there is a new version of Android, the ATCL, the Android testing support library, is updated with the changes that Google provide, not with other solutions that maybe you have to wait until the developer upgrade the new change, right? And well, Espresso, how it works is very easy. It's not a big deal. We have the user interface, okay, and we try to think as a user to execute the test with a simple language. Okay, we have this simple user interface. We have this button, and we want to test that when I click in this button, I want to see that the button is still displayed. I don't want to hide the button. So the syntax, as you can see, is not hard. So we are working with view matchers, and we are trying to identify on the user interface where is this button with this ID. After that, we are performing an action, a click, and then we are checking an assertion, a result. So that's the simple thing with Espresso, and it's quite simple, right? So I want to do something in my user interface. What's the first thing that I have to do? Find the view, then I want to do the interaction, and finally the assertion. So as you know, I can speak maybe 2 hours about Espresso, but it's not the topic of the case. Okay, that's Espresso is writing yourself the test, but now we are going to cover the next thing, that is Robotest. It's the new thing for Firebase Test Lab, and it's a very cool tool, because years ago, well, from the beginning in Android, you have one tool called Monkey Runner. The Monkey Runner, as the name says, is like you have a user like it's a monkey, and all the time is clicking parts of your app to detect possible problems that you have. But Robotest is different, because Robotest, the thing that it's doing is analyzing the hierarchy of your application and repeating the same user activity for the same configuration. For example, if I have the payment process, Robotest is going to test always the same steps in the flow. It's perfect to detect problems in for regression. Imagine that I'm doing a new release. I don't do anything with the payment, but I want to check if the payment works, because it's the money. That's a regression, for example, and Robotest is perfect in this case. So again, the key features for Robotest is analyze the hierarchy of the user, because your application maybe is not only 2 levels. So maybe you have your list of categories, you select the category, you see the products related in the category, you see in the product the detail, then the payment page, the payment screen, and then the result. So these levels of screens, it's maybe a deeper of 5 levels. So it's not the same for one app that has only two options. And one of the best things is that Robotest is providing the logs, videos, and screenshots about the test. And you don't have to write anything, so that's the cool thing. Okay, now we know that, first of all, we have to write test. The second point in the implementation path was select the environment, right? Because again, the use case at the beginning is that I have one problem with one Huawei, okay? So I need to identify when I want to run the test, where I want to run the test. Okay, the test environment in Firebase is very cool because we can select the execution of the test in different test dimensions. What is a test dimension? It's like different attributes that can have one phone, right? Imagine the device type. The device type is like a Nexus 5, Galaxy S6, Huawei, the different API level, 22, 23, 25. We can select by locale, very important because only in 6 countries or 7 countries only speaking English. In the rest of the world we are talking other language, right? So we want to test our application with our custom language as well. And the screen orientation, so how many crashes we had in the past, rotation with, to don't test properly the app in landscape. So that means that we can define our test, or we can execute our test in this kind of type devices. The test execution is the combination of different device types. Let's put an example to understand what it is. Imagine that I have this test that I want to do in the payment, and I select my test dimension. I choose Nexus 5 and Nexus 7 with API level 22, 23, only in English, portrait, and that's it. How many executions I will have with this configuration? 4, right? 6 here. But why 4? Because it's 2 per each device, 2 per each API level, and 1 because the configuration of local English and portrait. If I choose Spanish here, it's gonna, how many tests, how many executions is gonna be? Okay. Okay, very good. So I don't see you, but very good. So that's the idea. Okay. So again, if I select 100 type of devices, this is going to grow exponential. This is the test execution, and finally, the test matrix is the combination with the test execution and test dimension. Okay. Which we have a physical devices in the test lab we can select. It's not. Actually, I think that they have more. Imagine that every year all the brands, the manufacturers are releasing new devices, so Google is always in contact with the brands. Of course, it's not if you are going to ask the Note 7, so we don't want to make the joke here. And you can select the emulator, so virtual devices as well. So my recommendation is maybe for things that they are not important, like the payment, you can choose a virtual device. But for things that you want to test, because I mean money for you, we are talking about physical devices. Okay, now we have write our test with Espresso. Now we know that we want to execute in the Huawei phone, and well, at least it's not shut down this, so I can continue, right? Or this is something about lunch, I don't know. Continue? Okay. And then the final part is how to write where I want to execute the test, right? We have 3 parts. It's Firebase console user interface, Android Studio, and G-Cloud. Okay. I feel like Madonna. Okay, Firebase console user interface. This is like the website, but not only for the test lab. If you have Google Analytics, if you have, I don't know, push notifications, you always are going to this place, to Google Firebase console, Firebase console. And what's the well, how it works? Well, very easy. We are in the part of the test lab, and we can, as you can see, we can run the test with a simple click. The first thing that we have to do in the Firebase console is creating a project. So we have to specify the name and the country. Then we have to select the client. Of course, we are in Android Firebase Test Lab, be Android, and adding the details of the app. In this case, we're talking about the package name, and if you want to deploy some private key, you can add. And after creating the project, Firebase is going to provide a dialog with some data that you have to upgrade in your build Gradle, okay? So it's quite easy and quite fast. And from this moment, you have the access to this project, okay? Test Lab is here, but still you have for the project all the analytics, authentication, database, storage, whatever. Okay, now we have the project created. Now we can run the test. Okay, so I can choose robot test or instrumentation. Like I'm in the Firebase console user interface. I don't know how to write tests. I'm going to choose robot test. After that, we have to choose the environment. So the devices. Look that we have the Nexus 7, the HTC, Nexus 4, 5, Moto E, the API level as well. And the orientation here is not displayed the locale, but you have the locale as well. And that's it. Wait for the results. Okay? Robot test, APK, you have to upload the APK, of course. Choose the environment and wait. When it's finished, you're going to have one screen like this, where you can see logs, all the information. Imagine that you have the log cut, so the same. Screenshots. Remember that we are talking about robot test. I'm not doing anything with the APK, so I only uploading the APK. So the robot test is generating the screenshots for me. Okay. And the activity map. The activity map, we have the activity map here and the videos. Activity map is awesome, as you can see, so it's trying to draw a total interaction in your application. Now, in this example, it's a simple app with 2 activities. But even with 2 activities, look how many relations have done, because we have a navigation drawer, and it's trying to explain you what interactions, user activities, has done to test your app. It's incredible. If you zoom the image generated, you can see more details about how Firebase robot test is navigating through your app. Okay, that's from Firebase console user interface, but if you are a developer, you can do the same. Android Studio, right? We can do the same. So let's go. Android Studio, first of all, we have to activate the Firebase plugin, or the Firebase menu. When you click, you have in the right part one menu with all the different products from Firebase that you want to integrate in your application. Again, in our case, is Test Lab. And continue with the same configuration, connecting to the Firebase with your account, signing with which project do you want to use, and the final part is writing the test in Espresso. Right here in Espresso, yes, because we are in Android Studio and we want to code. Executing after writing the test and configuring Firebase, and we want to run the test, we have to do the same of selecting the environment of the test lab, right? So here I'm doing the target is not the device, it's not the emulator, it's the Firebase test lab device matrix. Okay, if we click here, we can do the same as we did in the user interface. Selecting the Nexus, or the device type, locale, orientation, whatever. Once we have selected everything, we execute, and we have to wait for the results. Okay? Okay, this is from Android Studio. We have seen Firebase console user interface, Android Studio, and we have the final part this gcloud. Gcloud is an interface to execute command line operations for Google Cloud, not only for Firebase, for Tesla. It's for more things, but we can use gcloud with Tesla. It's quite simple. Terminal, command line. You can type the configuration. You can connect with your ID of the project, and we can execute different commands. That's very cool for CI. If you're working with a CI server and you want to execute every time that one developer is doing a push, a commit, or whatever, you can execute the test in Firebase Test Lab. How? You are setting up this with gcloud. So if we are doing a gcloud, for example, device list, we retrieve all the list of devices as we did before. And if we want to execute one test, for example, we can use this command, and quite simple. The type, remember that we have robotest or instrumentation, in this case it's robo. We say which APK, which device type, Nexus 6, Nexus 7, version, API version, locales, orientation, a timeout. And that's it. We can run this and we have the APKs on the server. Okay. Of course, by terminal we can get the results, but as you can see, it's not very fancy. But after check this, I think that it's better to do a demo, right, with a real code, because there are a lot of concepts, or maybe you all don't understand, but I think that with a demo it's quite simple in this case. Okay, let's go first to this is the Firebase test console, okay? You can enter now here. You have 5 physical devices for free at this moment, so there's not any restriction to enter here. Okay. I'm in this project, Georgetown Call, and the app, it's called Yangon. So before, I set up a project with an APK called Yangon. I have in this part all the possible products from Firebase that I can integrate. Analytics, storage, whatever, but I have activated before Tesla. And here, that's the previous executions of my test that happens in the app 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago, and the results. In this case, I have 2 tests that are failing and 1 execution is okay. Okay, let's go to, for example, to this one, and let's analyze what's inside. Okay, this is 4 hours ago on Nexus 6 with an API 21. I have a problem. Okay. I'm gonna check the results, and the app crashed during testing. Oh my God! Look, which problem? The developer, in this case myself, I forgot to update the manifest with activity. So that means that now I have it's a stupid error, but I have the problem here catch, and I want to know what happened. Okay, what else? Then here we can see that this test is not executed because it's incompatible. What's mean? Imagine that I have in this case Nexus 6. It's not the new device, but it's a real new. And I'm trying to do a combination with an API level 19. This is not possible, right? Because, well, I think that the last version available for the Nexus is 21. I'm not sure, but you have this kind of restrictions. Okay. And then I have instrumentation. That's the test that they are running by Vice President. Let's run a test manually to see that it's not a real thing. And first of all, I have to select the APK. So I'm working here in a simple app, 2 activities, nothing to do, nothing important. And I have the APK, okay. I don't know where is the, oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna upload the APK that before I generated, compiling the code. Okay, and well, let's wait until it's finished the page. So the app is quite simple. Again, hello world with Yangon, and it has a navigation drawer, and then we are trying to open a new activity. Okay. The app is uploaded, and then next step, remember, select in which devices we want to execute our test. Okay, well, I don't know, Nexus 6, Moto, Galaxy S7, and then let's go everything. Well, let's remove because it's gonna be very long, the process. So Nexus 5, okay, I think that I'm okay, and it's only, this combination is only to execute sys-test for every device, okay? This is loading, and that means that I have to wait now to see the results, okay? Okay, this is from the Firebase console user interface. Okay, no, there are more, don't worry. Okay, now let's do the same from Android Studio. In this case, so I want to, well, I have my activity, and you know that with Espresso, I feel comfortable. We can write our own test, right? So remember this display with the user interface and this view. I want to perform this action and then I want to check the result. That's okay, right? But since the last version of Android Studio, well, since version 2.2, it's opened the recorded Espresso test, and that's something that works very well. It's very cool, and if with Robotest you don't have to write tests, with Robot Studio, with Robotest, test recorder even less. So okay, let's wait that is connected in this case. Perfect, and oh, cool, perfect. Usually I didn't have always in the same screen. So works. We have the activity, the app, sorry, and we are going to do operations. In this case, like we want to open the navigation drawer, and in the time that I'm doing the operation, I'm seeing the action recorded by Espresso Test Recorder. Okay, then I want to go to Tools, and it's open a new activity, but here is doing the operation, okay? And then I can do some more operations, I don't know, so like button and whatever. So this thing is recording my test. But it's not the only thing that we can record. We can do assertions, and is, well, okay. Well, assertions is only that if we want, for example, to check that the title of the action, that the toolbar says Yangon, I can do the assertion same. So we don't have a lot of time, and I want to do the test only, and that's it. What happened next? So in this case, I'm creating a new test. So Espresso Test Recorder has created a test, and I want to save with my activity test. Well, what happened here? So I have a new test with the same operation that I did before. Open a navigation drawer, click on the tools text, and finally click on the button. Okay. I know that since the last time in summer you have worked in Espresso a lot, but still with this tool we can do the same. Okay, what's next? I want to execute the test, but locally, no. I want to execute the test in the cloud, in the server. Okay, so I have a configuration already, but we can check if you want. There is no trick. There is nothing here. So I have my app where I want to test the app in the USB emulator. No, in the Firebase test lab. Which configuration? So I can choose here the configuration that I want. Here I'm including a virtual device, and that's it. So I can run the test from Android Studio in the cloud. The test generated by Android Studio as well. So imagine that even if you don't have the knowledge to write apps or to write tests, you can get the app, record the test, and execute the test in the cloud with different devices. So you are trying to help your team, to start up or whatever. Okay, as you can see here, we are uploading the APK, so we still need to wait. Okay. What happened here in the test lab? Okay, in the robot test that we executed before, remember? There are more tests executing. Okay, we have the Firebase console user interface. We have the Android Studio. What else? What we have is the terminal with gcloud. Remember this common interface for CI, and it's quite simple. This is a terminal. I can do an Android device list, and I will get the devices available in the Firebase test lab. Okay, this is not useful for you now because you have console user interface and Android Studio. But if you are working in a CI, or again, if you want to do some automated process, it's cool. And what else? What else? We can execute the test from the terminal. So type robo Nexus 6 1921 localing this portrait landscape, and I'm gonna execute again the test. Uploading. So that means that we have 3 executions at the same time. The first one has finished. That's the robot test, and let's see the test lab. In this case, this doesn't have any crash. So that means that we can, excuse me, we can see the results. For every test, logs, screenshots, activity map, and videos. Okay, the logs is like the log cat. The screenshots, as you can know, it's the image and the activity map. So that's the thing that I told before that for me is amazing. In this case, we are testing a device in landscape mode. So a phone in landscape, and here is explaining everything about the test that has done. Go into every options in the navigation drawer, seeing that there is no crashes. This application has 2 screens, 2 activities. It's very poor, but with an app with more things, so it's doing more stuff. Here, it's even clicking the menus on the screen. So again, take a look of the activity test map because it's very interesting for your apps. And it's doing a video as well. So Nexus 6, and that's the test executed by a robot. And I didn't do anything. I only pressed 3 buttons. Okay, so nice. Okay, this is the first one that we execute by user interface Firebase, and let's see what happened with the other 2. actually instrumentation, the one that it was generated by Espresso Test Recorder and Android Studio, is still on execution, and this one is the G-Cloud one launched by Console. And well, guys, I think that I'm pretty done in this case. So for me, my final words is that testing is very important. But as you can see with Firebase Test Lab, if you don't have a quite strained infrastructure, I think can cover your testing part and at least fix the problem with the Huawei that we are talking at the beginning in the payment process. So if you have questions about testing, about QA, about Espresso, about Test Lab, I will be very happy to help you, and about Android in general as well. Thank you very much, and go to lunch. No. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Inaki, and we will accept 3 questions from now on. So please raise your hand if you have any questions. 1.
We will give you another couple of more.
Where are the test servers located?
Where?
Yes.
Well, the test can be in your code. For example, if you're executing in Android Studio.
Yes, for example, like if you want to test with a Myanmar connection, is
Yeah.
it possible?
Yeah, sure. So this test that I execute is from this connection. So it's not a video; it was real. So I mean that I don't.
No, I thought the tests they are ran in the cloud.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine that I'm writing one test, for example. This test belongs to your source code. You can push your repository, or even if you don't have a repository, you can have the test in your laptop. But you have 2 options: running with instrumentation, that's in your code, or the other is in the cloud in Google, because it's a robot test.
If, for example, like if you want to see how your app responds to a very slow connection in Myanmar, can you do that?
Not yet. But you can do the same in your laptop, for example. You have some applications, some programs. The Charles proxy can help you to simulate some slow connectivity, for example.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I can give you some names of tools to do that. It's very, very cool, because you want to test your application in different scenarios, right? With high bandwidth and low connectivity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can give you some names.
Thanks.
Next question.
Hello. Is there any limitation in Firebase Test Lab? Limitation about Firebase Test Lab?
For example, with the robot test, you have the limitation now that you have to use views from the framework, because you are testing on Android. So if you are using some special web thing, robot test is not going to work at the same time. The signing of the application has to be with Google. So imagine that you have something that is you have to sign in. Has to be with Google, but they're working to improve all the time. And what else? No, I don't think there are more limitations in this case.
Thank you.
Last question. Any more?
ကျွန်တော်ကဘယ်မှာလိုပဲမေးလိုက်မှာဗျာဟုတ်ကဲ့ကိုကကျွန်တော်မေးချင်တာခု robot test နားမှာဆိုကျွန်တော် device တွေအများကြီးရွေးရပါဘောသူကလည်း emulator တစ်မျိုးပေါ့သူကလည်း run ပြောလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော် real device မှာလည်းထပ် run ရမယ်တဘောလားအဲ့ဆိုသူကတခြား emulator နဲ့တူတူပဲဖြစ်နေပေါ့
Okay, I will have this question. Just asking about if you try to test with robot test. Now this question is that whether you can test again with the real device or not.
What do you mean with the final part?
Okay, because he is concerned about if he used a robot text, and then he choose multiple device, maybe device Apple, Samsung, or something like this. After that, his concern is that whether he need to test again with the physical or real device.
Well, Robotest is going to execute for the same configuration, the same test always. So you don't have a script saying that with Robotest that I want to do A, I want to do B. Robotest is auto-generated by Firebase console because it has analyzed the structure of your application. Your app is going to change between versions. So one example, if you have the payment process in the third activity, it's going to change in some versions, in versions, maybe, but not always, right? So Robotest has the knowledge about that your app has the same flow, and it's going to test from the product, from the category, product, payment. Once your app has changed, because you have product and payment, you don't have category, the test is changed. So Robotest is not open to see what's internally what's happening. Okay, I answered your question. Yep. Take a look. So I think that in the
Let me repeat the question. Here's us. We have a task. We created a test case on the Robotext, and then his question is whether he need to run the same test again with actual device.
in the Firebase console user interface. So you can run the test again in the Firebase console user interface.
So I mean, he don't want to repeat the same test on the.
He don't want to repeat it. He wants or he don't want.
It's the same as on you want. Hold on, no. Nhìn lên bây giờ là phải robot test mà test lâu bị lại rồi, the gap is the gap mà get right mà test lâu thì là lâu lắm. Yes. So his concern is he don't want to test again with the physical device. So.
Okay. He can change by virtual device. I show you. Okay, so I want to execute again. I want to run the APK that I have before, but I don't want to do in a physical device. Sorry. Have to wait. Slowly. We're still running the G-Cloud, so okay. Here we can select which type of devices we want, but if I don't want to choose any physical device, I can choose the virtual device. It's okay?
So we have the developer have the option to choose either virtual device or actual physical device.
That's it. Exactly. So again, if you have something about payment, maybe it's critical, some critical parts, physical device.